Hey guys, what's going on? Charger Repair here. Just gonna go over the basic things you need to look for in the 3.5 high output engine. Now, since this is Charger Repair, you would expect 5.7, 6.1. I did swap the engine out twice in this vehicle. There was a 6.1 in here. That's when I did a lot of racing. It did have a turbo in it, but I ripped all that out because I didn't do any racing anymore and I wanted to save gas because I lost my job and everything. But enough about me. Let's get on with the basic things. When you walk up to this engine, the first thing you want to look at is, if you're just purchasing a car, if you're going to buy a used car, you always want to check everything. You know, if the cooling system has any dirt or any kind of residue or any kind of condensation, just like this one does. Or you want to check the power steering pump, which this is just where you put the power steering fluid in. The pump is actually here on the serpentine belt, which is this little crank right there. You also want to check the air filter. This one doesn't have the stock air filter on. I actually took this off about a couple weeks ago and I put this cold air intake on. That was actually built by a friend of mine and it works pretty well. Actually better than the K&Ns. The only thing the K&N has is that it has a little fan on the inside. Another thing you want to check is the brake fluid back here. I've already removed the door. You just twist this off. You look inside to see how much is in there. Then the most important is always the engine oil, which is this dipstick here, which is right next to the fuse box, which is also, this is the car's computer. Washer fluid's not too important, but it's always nice to check to see if there's any cracks within the reservoir or there's actually any in there, and as you can see, there's not a lot in there. Also check the ESP, which is the electronic stability program. That's what gives you traction if you're slipping on the rain or in the snow or anything. You want to see if like any of these been replaced or if any of them are rusted or cracked, because it's all metal hoses and everything. And this one actually looks pretty good. You also want to check the fans on the radiator. I know you can't see too well because it's kind of dark in my garage, but that would be right in front of the engine. You want to check the fan blades, see if there's any cracks on them or not, which doesn't seem like there's not. Importantly, if you have a screwdriver, you want to check inside the throttle body. What the throttle body is that it opens up whenever you push down on the accelerator or the the gas pedal, if you don't know what that is. It opens up a little plate in here and it gives the engine air for it to move. Another important thing, you check all the hoses and everything, you know, like this one here. You can't really see it, but it's the vacuum hose that goes into the brake cylinder. See if there's any cracks on that. Make sure it's a nice and tough feel. You don't want any soft kind of hoses. You also want to check, I know I'm jumping all over the place here, but there's the top radiator hose. Now if you push on that, you actually see on the cold box that the fluid in there is moving, which means there's a nice flow and everything going on, so that's good. Back over here, there's a fuse box. You want to check to see if any of the fuses are blown. I mean, it's real simple to see if a fuse is blown. You just look in there, you see that the copper housing is all around, the solder's good, there's no black or any kind of carbon or anything like that. All the fuses in this and relays have actually just been replaced, so the only way you can check a relay is by actually pulling it and looking at it to see if there's any kind of indication that it's been blown. The fuse that I just pulled out of here is actually the windshield wiper fuse, so it's not, I mean the relay, it's not very important, but it's nice to have windshield wipers. For a while I didn't have windshield wipers on this car because a fuse was actually blown and I thought it was the relay problem. Alright, what else can we talk about? You want to check the terminals, you know, see if there's any kind of corrosion, and to see if there's any kind of aftermarket stuff on there. A really big dead giveaway is if you look hard enough, you can see that there's copper wiring here, and then if you check the negative side, you can see there's copper wire there. So you can definitely tell there was some kind of aftermarket thing on there. In these cars, Chrysler has a tendency to put the battery in the back, so we'll go and take a look at that real quick. It's raining. As you can tell, there's a lot of junk in my trunk. Alright, let's take a look real quick, see how the battery's doing. I'll give you some tips too while we're out here. Alright, here we go. As you can see, there's the battery. I have a couple wires hooked up to it for like speakers and my radio, and I do have a train horn on here. Now in the winter, these things will seize up and your car won't start. So the best tip I can give for you is just to put some Vaseline oil on there, on the actual battery itself, not on the terminals. So what you do, you remove the terminals and just put Vaseline on that circular thing that goes into the battery. And then here is the back control box where all the fuses are. The only important fuse that's in here, all of them are actually important, is your fuel pump relay, which is the second one in here. It's the black box relay, just like the one I pulled out up front. And also there's this fuse here, which actually pretty much controls everything, which is the IOD fuse. And we'll get into that later with more videos. This I'm just showing you what's in the car. Another important thing to check, you know, the headlights. What does it look like underneath? Also the suspension. The easiest way to check the suspension is usually just by pushing down on the car and see if it bounces. But if it bounces, there could be a couple things that are wrong. As I push down on this, there's a few bumps, and then it keeps swaying back and forth. So there's the sway bar that you can look underneath. Now I don't have much light down here, so let me see what I can do. If only I had a flashlight, it'd make more sense. Now the sway bar, it actually connects to the frame, and then there's a bolt here, which it's right behind the tie rod. What that does is that it controls the bounce and everything. So, also, you want to look underneath, see if there's any kind of fluids dripping. The biggest one you want to look for is transmission fluid. And we'll talk about the transmission real quick. Now in these cars, from I believe it's 2005 till now, they all have sealed transmissions, so you can't check the transmission fluid. There's actually a little reservoir here that says for dealer use only. Now there are aftermarket dipsticks you can buy and stick it in there and check the fluid and everything, but on here somewhere it actually says you don't need to flush the transmission fluid or anything like that because it's all synthetic. As I bend the damn thing, just get that back on there. Oh, what else? Show you how to check the fluids. That's real simple. Check the antifreeze. You just twist this cap off. It should be on there real tight. You can look in there. As you can see, there's antifreeze. You can also smell it too. It'll have a sweet smell to it. Over here is a power steering fluid. To check that, there's two settings. There's warm and then there's a cold setting. It should just pop out like that. Now right there, that's the cold. That's the warm setting. And then over here on this side, where the two lines are separated, that's the cold. So if we want to check it, since it's cold, since this engine hasn't ran today, take a look. As you can see, it's pretty full. So it looks good. Put that back on if it wants to get back on. And there's the trash company. Okay. Check the oil. Simple. I mean, everybody knows how to do that. You pull the dipstick. You wipe it on something clean. Actually, this oil's pretty dirty. I need to change the oil soon. It's always best to check an engine when it's cold. So if you check it after it's running, oil splashing all over the place. As we see here, it looks like I need to put oil in here very soon. Maybe that's why she's running rough. Window washer fluid, basically just pop it open, look in there, or you can get underneath the car and look. Power steering. The brake fluid doesn't have a dipstick or anything like that. So basically you just open it up and look in there. There's going to be 6 lines that go down there, and if it's in the middle, it should be good. There are lines on the box itself that show minimum, but the weird thing is that it's all the way over here on the other side. You can't necessarily see it unless you stick your head through here and try and find it that way. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions on how to do anything, just post a comment. Or if you want me to do any kind of certain repairs, if you have any questions, if you want to do it yourself. On Thursday, I'm actually doing a lot of work on this, and I'll be posting a lot more videos. I'm going to be changing the oil, putting seafoam through it, doing brakes, checking the air filter, cleaning the throttle body. So I'm going to have a lot of videos being posted up here. So thanks for your subscriptions, if you subscribe. And like I said, any questions, just post on my wall. All right, thanks, guys.